Okay, so we haven't talked much lately about those of you who have tried to succeed in sleep and yet have not. So, it's funny. We look back on life and all of my original ideas of coming out were like, hey, don't come to us for the science. Come to us because you've tried sleep and failed. And this was our entire marketing message for years. Tried sleep and you failed. Now come to a place that's going to teach you how to do this. And then what we found was there were so many dentists that had never even gotten involved in the world of sleep that we were just trying to introduce the concept. Hey, if you're just doing dentistry and you're not doing sleep, you're missing out. And that has definitely been an ongoing message for a couple of years. But recent events have led me and the entire team to realize the following. The most successful people that we know are the people that have tried and failed in sleep, but have not given up and said, you know what, let me check out this IAOS place, see what this Dental Sleep MBA program is all about, and maybe that's an answer. So what happened? Right? The stats are pretty staggering in terms of how many dentists have taken a sleep intro course or any sleep course, and it's roughly 50% of dentists. So there's about 175,000 general dentists in the country, and almost 50% have taken a sleep course. So why is it that there aren't even half of those that do sleep at all? Not even just on a regular basis, but just say, hey, I'm not doing this. Because the typical story that I hear, and I hear it over and over and over again, is I went to a sleep course, maybe I bought some equipment, maybe I bought some software, I definitely bought a home sleep test so I could give it to my patients. By the way, this is not what I'm preaching, I'm just telling you what I hear. And so it's along the lines of, and I did it, and I gave out home sleep tests, and I got my sleep tests read by sleep doctors, and then I tried to submit it for payment, and I didn't get paid. And this story is repetitive. I've heard it thousands of times already, not hundreds, thousands, from different dentists who have gone to these sleep courses. So if I've heard it 1,500 to 2,000 times, what about the other 40,000 dentists that have just given up? Because, honestly, they were taught wrong. That's right, taught wrong. So my first ad in sleep, which I wish I could take back because I'm not looking to cause any waves here. My first ad in sleep specifically said, everybody in sleep who's teaching you sleep has no idea what they're talking about. And what I meant by that was most of the people who teach you sleep know and understand the science because they're bright. It's easier than, let's say, a histology class. So if you passed histology, you should ace sleep medicine for dentists. And they teach you the science. And then they'll teach you to go out and learn. Just go ahead, make yourself this guy who understands the science and take our mastery program and our diplomat status, and then you're going to be the expert. So who are people going to send patients to other than the expert? And dentists buy into the story over and over again. But the reality is nobody's sending you patients. Why? Why is nobody sending you patients? If you've seen my message, you certainly know the why. The why of, imagine somebody comes into your office and says, hey, listen, I'm a prosthodontist. No offense, prosthodontists, because people could come into your office with just as ridiculous a proposal. I have studied everything prosto and restorative related for 4 years. I am the expert. My preps are perfect. My margins are amazing. You should see my crowns. Please send me all your single unit crowns. And you'd be looking at them as like, get out of my office, you clown. That's how I make a living. You're asking me to give up my hard-earned patience and my bread and butter to you? Take a hike. Now, when you go to ask a sleep doctor for his mild to moderate or mild and moderate patients, either or, you are asking him for the equivalent of a single unit crowns. And I will stake my reputation on this. Yeah, I know what you're saying. My reputation's not great. I'll stake my reputation on this. It is way, way, way easier for you to get a Crohn patient in your office than it is for that sleep doctor to get a mild to moderate sleep patient in his office. Let's look at the reality. People break a tooth, they go to the dentist. People snore, they don't go anywhere. People stop breathing in their sleep, their doctors don't even mention it to them. The stats are staggering. 180 million is the latest number we hear, undiagnosed patients. The stats are staggering that a patient could live up to 20 years longer. That's stats, not mine. Trust me, I don't go deep diving into the science. I just looked for a solution on, hey, how can we get more people involved in the world of sleep? And so there is a decent idea out there of, hey, dentists, get involved in sleep. But then there's no follow-up to that, or the follow-up is so poor that you as a dentist are screwed. You can't get anywhere with this whole thing. You have to do something vastly different if you want to succeed in sleep. So the purpose of this video is to go back over the worst ideas that were given to you and how they led to your failure in the world of dental sleep medicine. Whereas if you do it the dental sleep MBA way, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying it's going to be cheap, but I am saying that it's going to be doable, and that it'll be the best ROI you ever had if you stick with it. So let's look at it. Okay, you go to a sleep course, you learn the science, you're taught the science, and you already know how to take an impression and a bite registration, so you know how to make an appliance. Congratulations. You are just as qualified at this point as any third-year dental student who can take an impression and a bite registration. It's a simple, easy process and procedure. Now, there's always going to be outliers. You're going to have single crowns that fail. You're going to have fillings that fail. You're going to have I just had a small, tiny filling, I don't know, last year at some point. And I also had 2 or 3 teeth that needed endos. Guess which tooth ended up being by far the worst out of all 4? It was this little tiny nothing that needed a filling that had me begging for Advil and Tylenol every 4 hours because my head was walloping in pain and it just wasn't going away. But in an IRM, let it sit for months, came back, we put a filling back in because it calmed down. Guess what? Headache right back, and I needed an endo. It was a tiny little filling. And so, yeah, there's cases that just don't work out. But for the most part, sleep appliances are a slam dunk. You put them in, you slowly titrate a patient, you're going to be successful whether you are an expert or whether you're a beginner. My first sleep case I ever did, I was 26 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. I just did what I was taught by the amazing Dr. Keith Thornton in a course. Slowly titrated a patient out. Next thing I know, patient was thanking me. You just changed my world. Now, of course, as you know in my story, that stuck with me. I wanted to figure out a way to succeed in sleep and wasn't finding it because nobody had the type of success I was looking for. And it's not like I was looking to change an entire industry back then. Now it's all I'm looking to do. I am looking to change the industry where it'll become easy for you as a dentist to treat a sleep patient. Be easy for you as a dentist to turn a dental patient into a sleep patient because that's a trick. So when you go back to that original course, what's taught to you is the science. What's taught to you usually is a specific appliance, whoever may be sponsoring that course. You may be taught equipment being the answer. You may be taught software being the answer. You may be taught letter writing is the answer. You may be taught that the proper billing company is the answer. But the reality is there is no one answer. You need to have a deep understanding of this business and every facet of it in order to succeed. And if you haven't taken a course like that, and I've been to many a sleep course, that is not what's taught. It's still the same thing 20 years later that I heard in 1998. Science, maybe a little hands-on with an appliance, and then billing and marketing, which is honestly a joke. There is no marketing strategy that's just going to get you a load of sleep patients. It's way harder than getting dental patients in the door. Back when I was doing dentistry and all I wanted to do was full mouth rehabs, if I wanted to, I could put an ad out. I could get patients galore to come into my office for full mouth rehabs. They weren't, now realize this, they weren't full mouth rehab patients before they read that ad. There was somebody who might have had dentures that they hated. They might have had an ugly smile, a dysfunctional bite. I turned them into full mouth rehab patients via evoking emotions in them that made them say, yeah, I want that. I want to be able to chew comfortably. I want to be able to not have to take something in and out of my mouth. I wanted to say, hey, if I could create full mouth rehab patients where it's like 50 to 80 grand for a case, how simple would it be for me to create sleep patients, to tell people, hey, you're missing the boat, people. You know, that heart attack you had could have been prevented. Congestive heart failure, stroke, all could have been prevented if you had just gone and gotten tested for sleep apnea and gotten treated before that all happened. It doesn't resonate. The message, guys, is not there. And the problem is that still today, and listen, I don't consider it to be an issue anymore, but a dentist cannot, should not give out home sleep tests. You should not be the ordering doctor for a home sleep test. It should not be you. And if it is you, expect the insurance company to not pay you, or even worse, pay you, audit you, ask for it back. I just spoke to a dentist. That was the only mistake he made. He ordered the home sleep test. A patient came in through hygiene, all of them. He screened them, right? He gave him a home sleep test, just like he was taught. This screener says test the patient. Patient's tested. A board-certified sleep doc read that study every time for this poor guy. He went along with exactly what he was taught, got paid in a lot of cases, and got audited, and had to pay it all back to the tune of $800,000. Now, here's the good news and bad news. This guy must have some hygiene program to be able to churn out that much in terms of appliances. You know, you're talking about at least 150 appliances probably to get to that kind of number. So kudos to this guy on that part, but man, does that suck. $800,000. He probably had bought a new house with that money. You know, where is it going to come up with the money to pay that back? They're going to be taking away his reimbursements from his check forever. Poor guy. All because he was taught wrong, and all because steps were skipped. So steps are skipped generally. Let's start with that first one. After you screen a patient, you do not give out a home sleep test. Plain and simple. You are screening a patient screens positive, and it is your job at that point to refer a patient to a physician. Now, if you don't have the right relationship with the physician, expect that patient to never come back. You might even lose that patient altogether, where they say, oh, my dentist is a quack. He sent me out to my doc for a sleep test, and my doc said, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't need a sleep test. I'm fine. Meanwhile, the guy probably drops dead of a heart attack 10 years later and should be suing that doctor for a complete malpractice for skipping over something that's this clear at this point in time. So, step number one, do not order home sleep tests. Do not give out home sleep tests from your office. And if you bought one from any one of the conferences you went to, use it for one purpose only. There's one purpose only for a dentist to hand out sleep tests, and it's just to make sure that the patients that you're titrating, that you're working, are at the point that you need them to, where you got them successfully treated. You have them at the right spot. Yeah, and I'm not going to go back and forth now on what's the right spot and right position any more than I'm going to sit here and tell you that I know the real answer to the occlusion dilemma that people argue about all the time. There's no right spot. There's no right way. There's no magic in this business. It is also subjective. You know, if you have a patient who has severe sleep apnea, let's say they stop breathing 32 times an hour, they have heart conditions, high blood pressure, you get them to where they now have mild to moderate sleep apnea, they're symptom free, and they're only taking one blood pressure medication and only getting up once to pee in the middle of the night instead of 5 times. Is that a success or is that a failure? depending on who you ask, you could get one or the other. So first rule of thumb, do not give out home sleep tests. Do not order home sleep tests. Make sure after you screen a patient that you are referring that patient to a physician. In International Academy of Sleep, we have a closed network. We have a network of physicians who will see our patients on demand. They know what they're talking about. They're not going to laugh you out the door. And this doesn't matter where you live. We have a doctor for you. They're going to see your patient. They're going to order a home sleep test for your patient, and then we're going to have the right sleep test ordered, and that's the next lesson coming up. Choose the right home sleep test.